Hello, this is video log 19 on the 25th of September 2017. You have to be a bit careful on this sofa that you don't just sink into it and can't get out. So, today I started working on a new puzzle. It's a 1,000-piece puzzle, so there's a lot to work on. I think puzzles are a great thing to do if you're housebound for any reason. It gives you that sense of achievement that a lot of people with disabilities lack if they're sort of not able to go to work or things like that, or they can't manage to do a lot of other things, because all you need for a puzzle is to be able to sit up and to be able to move your hands and arms, and if you can do that, I definitely recommend trying out puzzles. And although I'm doing a 1,000-piece one here, you can see how big it is. These are the edges that I've nearly finished. I would recommend starting with a 500-piece puzzle because it can be a bit frustrating and off-putting to start with one this large if you're just starting out. So, what I wanted to talk to you about today is a little bit about sort of attitudes towards disability and my attitudes towards my disabilities. Sorry, just grabbing my tea. So, I've heard a lot of doctors express a certain sort of sentiment, which is that they don't think it's possible for me to be as disabled as I say I am and to be as happy as I appear to be in the appointment. Like, you can't be this disabled and be happy. Like, they just don't think that's possible, and a lot of the time this leads to them sort of questioning whether I'm, exaggerating or making up, my struggles and my symptoms, because they just can't believe that I could be going around living my life this way, feeling happy, with disabilities to the extent that I have. And I suppose in a way it's flattering that they feel I'm dealing with it well, but it's also a really ridiculous attitude. I mean, I sincerely hope that most people out there who are suffering from disabilities and chronic illnesses are not miserable most of the time, although they definitely have a lot more obstacles and difficulties in their life when compared to people who are able. So, and certainly there is a sort of chance that people can develop mental health problems as a result of their disability and their struggle to live with it, and I don't mean to diminish that, but it's certainly not true that in order to be this disabled you'd have to be miserable. I mean, I'm certainly not, and I hope a lot of other people aren't either. I have Ehlers Danlos Syndrome, Postural Orthostatic Tachycardia syndrome, and a few other sort of conditions that go with those. But I'm generally quite happy in my life, and I hope that comes across. So I think the reason why a lot of doctors feel like you can't be happy and disabled is because they have this sort of perspective, this certain perspective on life, and it has to do with the sort of social norms that we learn when we're younger. So think about the things that you expected to be able to do as an adult when you were younger, things like get a job, earn money, get a promotion, buy a fancy car, own your own house, find a long-term partner, get married, have children, have grandchildren, and so on. Those are the things that we're sort of taught in Western society should be important to us, and those are what a lot of people still see as a measure of their success or failure in life. And a lot of those things are things that some people with disabilities or chronic illnesses might not be able to do. For example, I won't ever be able to work a normal job, although I hope I'll be able to do some illustration work from home after completing my illustration course. And that might be true for a lot of people. It might be more difficult for them to get into a relationship because their health problems might get in the way of going out and dating. They might not be able to have children, either because their body's not able to as a result of their illness, or else because they don't feel they'd be able to look after them, or things like that. So if you measure your success in those terms as a disabled person, you will be miserable because you'll feel as if you're completely unsuccessful. And I think that's sort of along the lines that these doctors are thinking when they say to me that I can't possibly be this happy and be disabled. But my answer to that, and this sort of attitude that I've developed, as my disabilities have developed, starting in sort of my teens and 20s and going on to now, age 25, the attitude that I've got is that those social norms and those things that I mentioned are not the only way to live a successful life, and they might not even be the best way to live a successful life. So what's more important to me, and I suppose this is a sort of nihilistic view, but definitely not a pessimistic view, is that those things, those social norms, don't matter any more than anything else that you could be doing with your life. They really don't. They're not objectively better. And so as long as you can find things to do in your life that you enjoy and that make you happy, or that you can share with other people and make them happy, that's just as important as any of those other things. And so it's a sort of positive nihilism, I suppose, where you take every day as it comes, because life can be really unpredictable for people with Ehlers Danlos Syndrome and POTS and a lot of other disabilities. But especially in Ehlers Danlos Syndrome, you never know when one of your joints is going to sublux or dislocate and just become unusable. And with POTS, you never know when you wake up on a certain day if your heart's going to be racing to the point that you're passing out, or if you're going to be able to sort of do some limited physical things, which might be on a better day. So you really have to take every day as it comes and just see everything that happens in that day as an adventure and a just something to do and enjoy the best way you can. And I think that is what I do, and I think that's maybe why I'm still quite happy despite having quite extensive disabilities. And that sort of attitude might not work for everyone, but it's certainly helped me. And if you want to know what I mean by sort of like positive nihilism, if you've seen Rick and Morty, look at the character Rick Sanchez. I mean, that